Hello Harstem, I am here to complain about the Hydra unit. In this game I opened up with my signature double prism charge lot drop. It owned, as usual. I kill over a dozen workers and soften up 2 of his bases. I then continue to be aggressive, killing those bases with my next pushes. Dozens more workers and then 3 additional bases, even hitting his hive, spawning pool and Hydra then. I was ahead in upgrades the whole game, and he never attacked me as I built up my infrastructure while blasting his. But it was no use. I couldn't trade well versus his massive Hydra army, even with better upgraded units that are supposed to counter it. Eventually he got the guts to walk across the map, and though I fought valiantly, he destroyed every mining base, and I tapped out. So tell me, Harstem, is the Hydra imbalanced? Or do I suck? This imbalanced complaint form, the first one of 2024 by the way, was sent in by the Proletariat, a North American Platinum Protoss player at 2971 MMR with a very simple question. Is the Hydra imbalanced? Or does he suck? And we're here to find out. And here we go. We have the Proletariat versus Hatsune Miku. Now, Hatsune Miku sounded like an anime name, so I googled it. And it is the name of an anime manga character that is a vocal performer. I think it was one of the first ever robots that made music, or supposedly a robot. Or basically other people make the music and they pretend that the AI does it, but it's really old. It's from Japan from like 2006 or something. And this thing was very popular. Also, it's supposed to be a 16-year-old girl. And when they did the live performances, I watched the live performance, I'm sad to say, then they would project the Hatsune on like some screen, and then a band would be around actually playing it. And then I guess a tape plays in the background as well. It's surreal to watch. Absolutely surreal, being a fan of a robot. That makes no sense to me. Going to a live performance of a robot makes no sense because it's going to sound the exact same as on the record. It's literally the same thing. But that has nothing to do with this game. You can Google this though. It's ridiculous. You're getting old when you start flaming this type of stuff. Hey, that's not real music. Back in my day, we had Eminem. He was a true entertainer. 50 Cent in the club. That was real music. So I'm going to be telling my kids 15 years from now, not this AI crap. No humans have touched this. A pylon block, a hatchery that shouldn't be going down. So he is stopping something that would be good for him to happen. Because a 20 hatch in the PvZ matchup is really bad for Zerg, as double adept chrono boost will absolutely murder that. Because there's not enough queens in it. You have to delay a queen and then the adepts manage to deal a lot of damage. So it's just balls. Ooh, look at that. Builds a robotics facility right inside of this overlord. That is an interesting move, especially given the fact that he said he's opening up with a charge build. Now, with every single Twilight build, the limiting factor of the build always is the Twilight upgrade. So whether that's Blink, Charge, or Glaive Adept, doesn't matter. And what I mean with that is that if you open up with a Robo and then you build a Prism instantly when the Robo finishes, your Charge, Glaive, or Blink won't be done yet. So whenever you go for a Charge Rush or for a Glaive Adept Rush, you want to get the Twilight Council before you get the Robotics Facility. Now, sometimes you want to get a Twilight Council, then a Robo, and then the upgrade. You can do that. But opening up with a Robotics Facility when you're trying to get a charge rush going doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me and is just highly inefficient. It just by default is inefficient. Unless you're planning to do some immortal charge all-in, then you want the Robo earlier to produce the immortals, but that's not quite what's happening. Instead, we're having an observer being chrono boosted, or at least being built here out of this robotics facility and being sent across the map. Now we have a Forge and a Twilight as well. Now this is also interesting. A second Forge. Okay, now it's just bad. You know, I was gonna give this the benefit of the doubt. But at this point, this build is not good. I give this build 1.5 stars so far. Now, maybe I'm going to change my opinion when I see it being executed by the great proletariat. He was very proud of this build. He wasn't just proud, he was bragging about it. As always, as I said. As always, I dealt a lot of damage with my build. As if, you know, because he always deals damage with this build, because the build is so good. That's what he was trying to say. But this build is god-awful. He's dealing damage not because of the build, but despite the build. So far, his macro has actually been pretty decent. He's been building workers fairly consistently for a platinum level player at 2900. This is honestly impressive macro, I'm not gonna lie. I really am fairly impressed by this. He's using his chrono boost well. Now, you might say, oh, it's not building workers anymore. No, that's because he's trying to probably go for some type of all-in. I don't think this is because he doesn't know how to macro. He is cutting workers on purpose because he believes this is necessary for his build to be optimal. Now, this build is very many things, but it definitely isn't optimal. But this non-optimal build is being executed quite well. I'll give him credits for that instantly. It's only going to be 4 gates, though. It's not going to be enough. You'll need, if you're hitting this late on such an eco, you're going to need way more gateways. You're going to need 8 gateways, probably a Templar Archives in order to spend your money, because this is practically just a fully saturated 2-base all-in. I mean, you don't have the gases, but you should be capable of pumping off 8 gates here. And he should be capable. So now he's just floating money. I don't even think he's really missing... He's not missing any chrono boost. He's now adding the gateways. Like, his macro is actually surprisingly good. Honestly, for a player this level... Look at the opponent here. Our dancing robot has 1,200 minerals in the bank. 400 gas as well. Inferior macro, for sure. But the build order that the Zerg here is playing isn't even good, but it's better. It's because it resembles something that would make sense. Look at the timing this is going to hit. He's going to hit with a freaking 12 zealot attack from 2 sides. 6 minutes and 20 seconds into the game. This is the point where I hit on 3 bases with +1, 2 Archons, 12 zealots, while opening up with Stargate. Now, of course, I am about 2.5 times this guy's MMR. Nah, about 2 times. 2 times and a little bit. This guy's MMR, so it makes sense that I hit a little bit tighter and a little bit harder, but the worst part is, yeah. Okay, well, let's just see how this works out before I truly start flaming him. 4 zealots, 5 more. We have 7 zealots over here that are idling. We have 4 zealots over here that are idling. This is also known as the single task, the single screen multitasking, where you do one thing at a time, but you do it in basically in a sequence. It's not really multitasking, just kind of sending units in. Yeah, it's gonna work somewhat, I guess. Probably gonna need to deal more damage than just 10 drones though. The opponent had 60 workers, 3 bases. There's no 3rd base yet for our Protoss. Look at the cash though. Cash remaining low. Upgrade started instantly as well. It's right-clicking a hatchery. That is also an interesting move. Right-clicking an extractor. That is a terrible move. I don't think he's gonna get this hatch because of that. If it wasn't for that extractor, look at the other extractor also took a lot of damage. Why is he right-clicking hatcheries? No, he's not gonna get the hatch. Cleared the extractors, like, alright, my job here is done. You can have my prism as well. Good lord. This is not gonna be the second the second game in a row where you have a guy just rallying zealots into crap again and again. Last week was practically a GM player, and this week we have, well, a PLAT. This is so frustrating to me, though. Like, look at this freaking macro during all of this. It is so low. The money is so low. Yes, he hasn't been building workers, but he probably believes he doesn't need to because he's fully saturated. Just has no clue what he's doing. You know what this is like? This build and this execution. This is like running a marathon, but zigzagging the entire way through and then finishing the marathon in 4 hours. It's like, yeah, 4 hours is a pretty decent time already. But imagine how quick you would have been if you weren't zigzagging. Of course, Proletariat would be zigzagging because he believes that every time that he makes a turn, he gains a bit of speed. Well, in reality, he's just actually running 55 kilometers rather than the 42 that a marathon usually is. Because they add a distance of the zigzag. Like, that's actually legit just what is happening here. Look at the macro. Freaking low money. The other guy, once again, floating 1,500 minerals despite nothing really happening. Struggling. Proletariat now starts building workers because he's building a 3rd. Like, he is floating a bit of energy right now on both of his neck side. But this is the one thing I can't forgive him. Okay? Because he didn't want to chrono boost anything. What was he going to chrono? Gateways? Not possible. He was flying around with prisms. Still has 1 prism alive, by the way. That's the beauty if you open up with 2 prisms. You lose 1, still have another one. Lost 33 zealots. Nothing but zealots so far. He's going to go for a second attack. Actually going for a solid double prong here. Is already in vision of this extractor. Usually, if you're going for a surprise attack, it is smart to not announce that you're doing it. It's like a burglar ringing the doorbell before he goes in. See him in your little ring doorbell. Wouldn't be very smart. Proletariat would have made a terrible marathon runner and a terrible burglar. Now stop macroing altogether. Not a fan of that. He's busy with the attack though, you know? One thing at a time, baby. One thing at a time. Cleared a little bit of creep. Now back to macro. No, still just roaming around. Okay, I dig it. Maybe tries to go for a little bit of a right click here on one of the hatcheries. Maybe an extractor. Has no extractors here. Can't really go for an extractor then. Maybe wants to go into the third to clear that extractor or kill the hatch. I prefer killing the hatch, but you never know with Proletariat. Has 2-2. Oh, he waited for the upgrades to finish. That's why. He's a timing attack monster, this guy is. Look at him go. Hop. Kills the spine and just runs away. Freaking sick. Zealots killing stuff. Once again, right-click the hatch. Actually a pretty cool... Well... Hey. This isn't it. These zealots... Ooh, they're gonna get it, though. 2 hatcheries exploding. That's nice. Like freaking Polt playing back in the day. Just next eye exploding everywhere. Did lose his entire army though for it. So that was not entirely optimal. It was quite bad. Let's face it. 3-3 is almost halfway done. Almost. Robobay on the way. 2 more gateways. Oh, I love this salad warping. This is a very good one. It would be even better if he killed the drones rather than right-clicking the hatch. This is probably the worst prioritization I've seen in my entire life. And he's also not going to get the hatchery. If he also loses the prism, this would be the worst attack possible. Despite the circumstances being the best possible. Ooh, keeps it alive. Once again, pretty quick. Low resources once more. Once he focuses on the macro for even just a second, he knows exactly what to do with his cash. Oh, seller. Man. He's playing real well. As in the moves. Like the movement of the army is good. But then once the army hits a base, that's when things really start going wrong. Now starts attacking an Evo chamber. Okay, he's just absolutely going wild, having a little dance party by himself. I feel like A moving every single time here would have been better. And then A moving on the ground, not A moving on a structure. He's still killing a lot of workers, though. He had this prism selected for a second. He's going to move out with more zealots. 3-3 is about to finish up, so the next timing attack coming in. Like, honestly, we're winning really hard right now. We're up 10 workers. We have insane upgrades with 3-3 against 2-2. Now, the Zerg also has decent upgrades, but not as insane as this. It's going to be like freaking 2 mining bases against, well, 3 mining bases, because there's only workers for 3 bases. Could clear every single worker here as well. Could also perhaps attack an extractor or a spine crawler. It's not actually going to get all of these drones. Zed runs away. Right clicks a hatchery. I like it. I do like that. He right clicks the hatchery, it explodes once more. It's a Broodlings though, it doesn't really run away. Zealots in the main again. Honestly, I'm throwing away a couple too many zealots here. Probably. Because he doesn't have the eco for it. Now, if you were on 75, 80 workers, 4 or 5 base, all of these trades would be really good. Now they're still okay-ish, but if you end up like, if you lose 12, 13 zealots to kill a hatchery, that is usually not entirely worth it. Because not only will you lose a lot of zealots, and that means that your supply will be a lot lower, but also just money-wise, trade-wise, it's not worth it. One base mines, what, 800 minerals per minute or so, then you have the cost of the hatchery, so it's like 1100. So you should never waste more than 11 zealots on killing a base. Unless you can also clear drones, of course, then it might just be worth it. Still kind of believe we're winning really hard. 31 workers to 56. Up 2 upgrades. As in, 3-3 versus 2-2. Fort base is up. Is mining. Tech into Colossus is happening, which means that the Hydra is now becoming a lot less viable. Even before, it already wasn't so viable. We never really saw a fight, though, with the Hydra against just the Zealot Archon. Hydra usually loses that. No sentry for Guardian Shield, which is a mistake. This is a good army, though. Still have the Prism alive, too. It's like, what, 1 mining base, 1.5 mining base, 2 mining bases versus 3 mining bases still. Worker count only at 60. Dark Shrine on the way, shield weapons on the way. No vision here. That sucks, because that super battery could have been real helpful here in the fight. Ooh, it's gonna pull away all the probes. It's gonna lose this base. Yeah, and just pulls back. This is 100% the correct call, because you lost the base already. It's like, okay, no reason for me to fight in a bad position right now. Retakes the base on the other side. Once again, just a good move. Like, I feel like the understanding of where to move with the army and how to expand and all of those things is actually really sick. Although I'm not a huge fan of this particular move out. I'm a very not big fan. I'm a bit of a hater, one could even say. I post on the forums hating this particular move. This fight is going probably as well as it could have, as half of the Hydras weren't engaging. But this was a fight into, what, almost double the army supply of Roach Hydra. I think that was maxed out Roach Hydra against, what, 130 supply of Protoss? Still managed to get a pretty decent trade. Not a great trade, but a decent one. He's down in workers now, though, so probably did need a great trade. Now, one thing he could have done here is just actually kind of wait until he's also maxed out. I also wouldn't mind seeing some Zealot run-bys again. Then in particular an A move. Just a cheeky little A move. Oh, there's spines everywhere now, though. Might make it harder. This base doesn't have any spines. Fort base finishes up. There's just nothing happening. I'm really confused what the game plan is as well. I guess it's just to always attack and kill bases. No matter what your supply is. And I think before he kind of had like the upgrade timings, the live by. You know, you could look at that and be like, okay, 3-3. That's cool. I attack now. 2-2. That's cool. I attack now. But right now, I guess his thermal lens finished. Up next, he's going to be waiting for the Anion Pulse Crystals or the Tempest upgrade. I'm just going to go for it. That's a good fight. It's just, I mean, Zealot Archon absolutely eats Hydras alive. Like, it isn't even funny. Like, watching this type of fight. Then once the roaches show up, you probably want to piss off again. Colossus on the way. Hive now coming out for the Zerg player. Finally, Hatsune Miku decides that maybe getting 3-3 upgrades against someone that's been 3-3 for a long time is somewhat worth it, maybe. Just maybe. DTs as well. Look at this. Actually, this is a stunning performance again. Look at this. I just don't understand it. So, if this DT was A-moved in this base, it would actually start attacking the Queen and then the Spines, okay? And I would say, you know what? This is a Platinum game. I understand why drones aren't being targeted down. There just isn't the APM for that. You know, it's 110, 144. But look at this. Look at what this DT is doing, okay? It is being controlled. It's being controlled. It slashes a drone. It has a nice little shift click. But it also A moves on the ground. And then it starts going ham. So he's putting in the maximum amount of effort for the minimal reward. No reward. He's gonna get 2 spine cross. Like, this spore is gonna finish before this DT is freaking done with killing the spines. And I feel like this has been the story of this entire game. Is just good ideas or good execution. But, well, it's not even good execution. I'm not even sure how to describe it. Like, he's fast enough and he has the ability, and then he just doesn't do it. It's like a guy juggling with like 15 apples at the same time. And everyone's like, wow, this guy is the greatest apple juggler in the world. But the apple juggler can't stop eating the apples while he's doing it, ruining his own run. You know, he needs to go for a minute, and at the 50-second mark, he just can't help but start eating an apple. It's like you're just looking at it, and it's kind of like, what? Why would he do that? It's like, surely he's not going to do that another time. Yep, there he goes again. Freaking eats the apple. Like, I just don't understand what the disconnect is. I feel like I'm missing something here. Because usually when I'm watching these games, especially at the lower levels, like, people are really good at 1 or 2 skills, but he is bad at all skills despite being good at it. It's like someone singing perfectly out of key in a song. Like, the song is in F and he's singing everything in freaking F sharp. It sounds off. And this is what he's doing. It's like, how is this possible? I just don't understand it. Like, the things he is doing require skill, and he has the skills to do them incorrectly in the correct way. It is phenomenal to watch. Now he's going for a base trade, which once again is actually the right call. If your opponent's army is too big, you should go for a base trade. Like, this really is quite a high level concept. It's a concept that people can understand, but almost never execute at lower level. And now he's just running away. Like, he's killing bases, running away. Freaking 3 more Archons. That is an interesting recall, but he does get away with majority of the army. Now, if he had another Zealot run by going here, this would be freaking chef's keys. But I just don't think he has it in him. Yeah, Zealots not really engaging into this. No Guardian Shield again. This actually, once again, not that bad of a fight. Holy crap. Look how close these fights are. Like, I'm just on a... 181 supply to 126. Like, most of the Zealots didn't even engage until, like, midway through the fight, basically. Like, most of them are just running behind other Zealots. It's a terrible angle. And yet the fight is still fine because his opponent's army is garbage tier. It's freaking Roach Hydra 20 minutes into the game. Hatsune Miku. It's not a good army, mate. 28 more Hydras. How many Hydras has he lost? 61. 151 Zealots. Holy crap. Yeah, you gotta cancel on the 4th again. Yeah, at this point the game is absolutely over. It's over. I'm just confused. I'm stunned. I don't really know what to say. Because it is such a specific type of badness. I don't even quite have the words for this. Usually I can look at things and I can describe what a player did wrong. But he did everything right, yet did everything wrong. Like, his army comp wasn't that bad. His unit movement wasn't bad. His unit control was okay. His macro was way better than his opponent's and way better than you'd usually see on this level. But then okay. I guess we'll start with his build. His build was a dog crap, okay? His build was dog. Okay, we're not even talking about it. That was awful. That really put him seriously behind, okay? Seriously behind. But then afterwards, he gets in okay positions and he makes good moves. And then his execution doesn't feel bad, but it's always wrong. The Hydra is obviously not imbalanced here, okay? Like, the fights we saw were all with way bigger Roach Hydra supply, or sometimes just the Protoss player attacking a hatchery or an extractor rather than fighting the units. The Hydra here definitely was not the issue, but I don't think I can say that Proletariat sucked, because I don't think he sucked. Like, he lost, and a lot of things ended up going poorly for him, but I wouldn't look at his game and say, wow, you were much worse than your opponent. Like, the Hydra wasn't the issue. I just don't get it. I legit don't get it. I mean, for the form, I guess you suck, but it doesn't feel right. I don't feel like you deserved more, but you also didn't deserve the loss. I feel like the perfect result here would have just been a draw. If this was a draw, I'd be very happy. Then Proletariat can try again another time with his good macro. Because this was very weird. Yeah. All right, but I guess that's it for me. The thanks a lot for watching this episode of IODIS. A confusing one. A very confusing one. It's rare that I'm just at a loss for words. I just don't know how to describe the mistakes. And I don't even quite understand what the mistakes are, except that the result always sucked. You know, this guy's playing fantastic football every single game. He always ends up losing. No one really knows why. I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time. Hit like, subscribe. Tell me in the comments what you thought, and bye-bye.